Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the American Innovator. This week we're going to Grand Rapids, Michigan, the home of Steelcase, the largest chair manufacturer in the world, where I'm going to give a talk on lean health at their wellness program.
All right, so first of all, I want to say that Steelcase is an amazing company. I did a tour this morning with Bob, and I go to Japan all the time. I lead tours from people all over the world there to show them Japanese excellence. And what I saw at Steelcase was remarkable. And you should be very proud of this company. It's at a top level. And I felt very proud as an American, actually, to be at a company that's accomplishing this, because a lot of American manufacturing is really not that good. On this tour right now, I'm going to be in, 6 or 7 countries, done 8 around the world trips in the last year. And so I get to see a lot of stuff. I'm going to Mercedes and Stuttgart and Hungary after this. So I get to see a lot of amazing people. But what's going on here is remarkable. And you should be very proud of that great effort. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here and see all the great work you're doing. So today's talk is called The Customer. And it's definitely going to be maybe a little different talk, particularly when it relates to health. My specialty, some of you know who I am, some of you don't, is lean manufacturing. I have a company in Bellingham, Washington called FastCap. We've produced, well over 2,000 videos. We've been watched by over 7 million people around the world. We have tours from the biggest companies in the world come to our company to see how we do with just 50 employees this little magical lean thing. And so, I'm very passionate about lean. I'm very passionate about continuous improvement. That's kind of how I made my mark in the world. The company is just awesome. It's still running and runs great. And I get to travel around and talk to companies and work with companies around the world on implementing and building lean cultures. So that's my specialty. But today we're going to talk about health. And the title of the talk is The Customer. So I have an interesting proposition for you. You have customers. I believe this is your furniture, your chairs. I pulled it off the internet. Hopefully I got the right stuff and I can get Herman Miller. Anyways, it said Steelcase. And, we all are focused on the customer. I know you're focused on the customer. When I was touring with Bob this morning, they were talking both about the customer, making sure we deliver the products on time, and you're also talking about the internal customer, which is really great because the internal customer is just as important as the external customer. So you're very customer focused. It's all about the customer, right? Pretty much. That's why we're in business. We haven't got a customer, we all go home. Right? We don't have a nice theater, seats, lights, everything else, no money to pay the bills and all the other good stuff. And we always strive as we produce our products to produce 0 defects. We don't want defects. So I'm giving you a proposition here. None of you go ahead and say, oh, that chair is good enough. And it's got a little rip in the upholstery or the paint's not quite right. Right? We don't do that. That's crazy. You would never do that for the customer. And you wouldn't deliver bad parts to your customers internally so they have to struggle and fight with that, would you? No, it would never happen, right? It's just, that's not something you're going to do. So I want you to take that concept and hold it in your mind as we go through this, okay? So in order to tell this story, I have to take you on a journey. So this is me 5 or 6 years ago, and I'm an Eagle Scout and a Boy Scout, and I've always been an outdoors person, I like to describe myself as a tough guy, I'm just, nothing really stops me. I'm not afraid of anything. This is the top of a 14,000-foot mountain, Mount Whitney, the highest mountain in the United States. And I did it in a day, and I do that regularly. I go up 14,000-foot mountains in a day and come back down and do it in Colorado and everything else. And so, very active, very ambitious person. But that wasn't enough because I wanted to do Mount Kilimanjaro, 19,000 feet. And it's a pretty big mountain and not much air up there. So I thought that would be really cool to go up Mount Kilimanjaro. When I got to the top, I couldn't believe it. It was, it's all ice. It's just crazy how cold it was. I think it was like 20 or 30 below zero when I was up there, and I froze my butt off. It was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. Fortunately, I didn't get altitude sickness, and I made it to the top. A lot of people don't, but I was very fortunate to make it up there. But that wasn't good enough. I wanted then to go back to Everest Base Camp in Nepal. And this whole trip and everything I do is documented on the American Innovator. I have a show that I put out every week on all the crazy stuff I do all over the world. But as you can see, I don't really look the same there that I do today. And just some of the crazy people you see up there. It's a tough hike. It's tough stuff up there in the Himalayas. And it was great though. We went up there and I had a good time, and 6 days. It took 9 days to get up there. But one thing happened that was a little odd on the way up is a blizzard came in. Now, this is prime hiking season. This is not when it's supposed to snow at all. And we have hikers everywhere. And this is a 100-year storm that came in. Very, very unusual. You know, we're seeing the storms and everything that are happening right now with the hurricanes. Well, this is a very bizarre thing. But I made it up to Everest Base Camp on the 8th day. And it was very rewarding. I was literally crying. I couldn't believe I did both mountains back to back, and that I made it because of the bad weather that was setting in. The storm had not fully set in at this point. But at the end of the day, I made it up there, planted my flag, everything was great. But the problem was, on the way back down, the storm had really started to come in, and it dropped a total of 2 feet, and we lost the trail 2 or 3 times with our Sherpa going back. This is the peak of Everest, and the storm coming in over the top. And the next day, avalanches were everywhere. So there's so much snow that all the hikers were on all these passes that it was a problem, because when we woke up the next day, 49 people died. So it was the worst disaster in Everest history when I was up there. It was crazy what had happened. And so what happened was they had helicopters just everywhere trying to rescue everybody, and it was very difficult to even get a helicopter. And I was going, I'm getting out of here. I'm had enough of this. So I was able to coax this guy into flying me out. It took me 8 days to get up there, and in 10 minutes he flew me out for $2,000 because I was not going to spend another 5 days going back down the mountain. And so I got in this helicopter at 17,000 feet, barely took off. He had cannulas in his nose, the helicopter pilot, just to give you an idea of the altitude. And we landed back down at Lukla, where I originally landed, and I turned on my phone. When I turned on my phone, I got a message from Audible, and it said, "Hey, Paul, we think you should read a book called Eat, Move, Sleep by Tom Roth." And I said, well, I'm kind of into health. I wasn't in great health, but I'm into trying to improve that stuff, and never really had a lot of success. But I said, what the heck, I'll download it on Audible. I was supposed to spend the next 5 or 6 days hiking down from Everest Base Camp, but because I came down in 10 minutes, which was very nice, I had an extra 5 or 6 days, and I wanted to warm up. I was so miserable. It was so cold. We were all just, the night of that blizzard, we were huddled around a yak dung stove. There was about 30 of us, and a couple people came in on the edge of death, just frozen to death, that had got lost in the blizzard and everything. And I was just freezing. We couldn't get warm no matter what we did. But I wanted to go somewhere warm, so I said, let's go to Thailand. I was with my friend. And so the two of us loaded on a plane, and we went to Phuket, Thailand. I've never been there before, but I knew it was warm. It wasn't that far away, 4-hour flight. And so during that flight, I listened to that book by Tom Roth, and I couldn't believe what Tom was saying. And so when I woke up the next morning and I went to breakfast, I started doing exactly what Tom said to do. And basically what Tom was saying was, stop opening packages and start eating real food. And I said, okay, so no packages. Okay, so I started doing that. And I started going through a mental transformation, because I quit eating food that was in a package, and I started eating stuff that was real fruits and vegetables and things like that. And I realized, and after 1 week, I'd lost 5 pounds, and I was about 217, 219 there in the pictures you saw me in, and I'm 162 today. So, and 9% body fat. So pretty remarkable transformation. But it took me over a year to get to this point, but this became the culprit. Now, I know a lot of us look at that and say, there's some yummy stuff in there. There's got to be something good in there somewhere, right? Well, there might be, but it's not likely. It's not likely, and more importantly, all the nutrition and all the vitamins and everything your body needs is in those real foods. And if you're not eating them, you're not getting them. So this was me before. I remember when I did this speech, it was 2,000 people. I was speaking to the state of Washington on lean. And I remember putting on those clothes thinking to myself, I felt pretty good. I thought, I look okay. And I look back at that now, I go, wow, what was I thinking? I mean, that's crazy. So I started hanging out in areas like this, eating fresh fruits and vegetables and not eating Splenda and no sugar, eliminated all sugar out of my diet, all bread, all the stuff that's processed and been stripped of their nutrients and everything else. And I started doing this, and I never went down these aisles anymore, maybe to buy some olive oil. Other than that, I started realizing, wow, This is where the fat people hang out. This is where they hang out, right? And I go, I'm not even going in those aisles anymore. And all of a sudden, my mind just started changing. And this is the key to this talk. In order for this to happen, it does not require any discipline. There is no discipline at all in me. I don't wake up every morning and whip myself, oh, you got to do this. Are you kidding? I don't have that level of discipline. No, my mind has been transformed. I see things differently. And so I started watching, everywhere I went, I started noticing that so many people are overweight. And it just started to go, wow. And then I started watching what they're eating, and I go, oh, this is crazy. And then when I went to Costco, I looked at all the vitamins and supplements, and I said, wow, why are people taking all this stuff? I've taken this stuff before. Oh, it must be good. Let's take some zinc. Let's take some fish oil. It's got to be good for you, right? So I took that stuff, and I said, why is everyone taking that stuff? That is crazy. You don't need to take that stuff. You just need to eat this stuff. You eat this stuff, you don't have to take the other stuff. And I go, wow, my whole mind just started changing and realizing what was really going on. And then I started observing that, a lot of my friends are on 4 or 5 different prescriptions. They got blood thinners, they got lowering blood pressure, they got this, they got that, they got a medicine to counteract this, they're taking vitamins. It's like, it's insane what's going on. And I wasn't taking anything. I didn't take any supplements. I didn't do anything. And I was getting in remarkable health. And then I realized, you know what? This is something I learned from Shigeo Shingo's son, Richio is a good friend of mine. And he always says, Paul-san, go to the source. Go to the source of the problem. We're always solving problems down here at the end of the big river. If you want to change the direction of a big river like this, it takes big machines, huge equipment, billions of dollars, right? But if you want to change the stream, if you want to change the direction, you go to the source, and you can basically take your foot at the headwaters and just move a little dirt, and you can change the course of the whole river. This mighty river is changed if you go to the source. So the problem is, what is the source? Well, the source is right here. The source is what we're putting in our mouth. There's the problem. It's not all the vitamins, it's not all the nutrients, it's not exercise. It's not exercise. Everyone thinks it's exercise. I go to the gym all the time, and I see these guys that are overweight, and they're in there, they're going, and they're sweating, and they're overweight. I want to stop them. I want to say, dude, it's not the exercise. Stop exercising. Get a hold of what you're putting in your mouth, and you're going to look like what you want to look like, and you're going to feel like what you want to feel like. This is the problem. This is the source of the problem. Exercise, trying to treat eating the wrong food, is changing the course of the stream down at the bottom. It's too late. You got to go to the source. We got to think about what we're putting in our mouth. We're not monkeys. We got a little bigger brain than this. We got to think about what's going on. And then I realized, boy, everything just started coming super clear. We've become a substitute society. We've substituted vitamins for real food, when all we need to do is eat the real thing. There's the source. We've substituted the cell phone for real relationships, actually having conversations with people. We've substituted sports with kids playing video games. Think about this. This is what we're doing. We've substituted everything. We've substituted real relationships for pornography. We become a substitute society. Give me the real thing. This is what I started doing. I started hanging out in this area. I fell in love with all this. And I actually disdain the substitutes. When I look at a piece of cake, I know this is going to sound a little crazy, that looks like poison to me. That's crap. I would never eat that. Because I know if I eat that stuff, all that sugar and all that stuff in there, it's going to make me fat. It's going to make me miserable. I'm going to walk in front of the mirror in the morning, and I'm going to say, why do I look like that? The key is I transform my mind. This became my new love affair. And bad food, I hated it. when I went to Starbucks, I started noticing, wow, most people are overweight. And then I just started watching what they're ordering. I'll take a double latte with this, with cream vanilla on this, and 2 shots of syrup, and I'll take that Danish right there. No wonder they're fat. Go to the source. It became so clear. I went to Costco, and this is the mental transformation that's going on. I'm standing in line with my cart, and I'm looking, and almost everyone's overweight. And then I started looking in their carts, and I said, oh my gosh, look at the crap we are eating. And then I looked at my cart, and I said, no wonder I'm not overweight. This is what I'm eating. It all became very clear. And then when I'd go to the breakfast bar in the hotel in the morning, I'd see all these pastries and breads and sweets and everything. And I looked at that and I said, for a man, that's the lingerie section. That's if a man wants to have man boobs. That's where he goes, right? And all of a sudden, everything became clear. So I didn't look at the sweets. I didn't look at this department and say, wow, I want that, and I want that. I said, that's the boob section for men. That's where you go. If you want a nice tire here, right there. Kramer did a great job on this.
Why? What's wrong with bro?
No, bro's no good. Too ethnic.
All right, you got something better?
How about the man's ear?
Man's ear.
That's right. A brassiere for a man. The man's ear.
Yeah, it's a running joke. And everywhere I went, my mind just started changing. I started looking at all these crazy apparatuses that people were wearing to try to be healthy, when all they need to do is go to the source. Look at all this crazy stuff we do. It's nuts. We go to our hospitals, they're filled with people that are sick. 90% of probably all their problems will be solved if they start eating real food. I've got sick 2 times in the last 3 years since I started doing this. I was sick all the time before. Gee, I think I just gave my body, the nutrients it actually wanted instead of all the chemicals and crap that I was pumping inside of myself. I started eating real food. Only real food. Now, this is critical. This is only my opinion. I can't teach you anything. I can only show you what I'm doing. You can do whatever you want with this information. But at the end of the day, I don't have a cheat day. There's no such thing as that. I'm going to get to why in a minute. When people come to our company, we used to have cakes and cookies and all kinds of stuff. They'd come visit our place. We'd have this from Costco, right? But this is what we have now. There's no compromise, no excuses. We're fresh stuff. Notice what I put on the sugar jar there? Poison. Yeah, we don't do this stuff anymore. No, that's old thinking. That's past tense. So when I look at myself, I go, wow, what a total transformation. But then it really started to become clear for me. Ferrari. I started thinking to myself, wow, if I had a Ferrari in the garage, how would I take care of that? How would you take care of a Ferrari? Perfect. Got a fingerprint, clean it off. You'd show everybody, you go, wow. You'd put the perfect fuel in it. You wouldn't put crappy fuel in it. You wouldn't go put regular in it from some off-brand gas station. You'd only go to Standard Oil or Chevron and get the premium because you knew it was the best stuff. Right? That's what you do. That's what everybody does who owns a car like this. And I said, but I'm really taking care of my body for the last 54 years like a Pinto. I really didn't have very much respect for it at all. I was shoving all kinds of crap in there. I put 2 or 3 Splendas in every coffee I had. I had 3 or 4 coffees a day, and putting that Splenda in there, yeah. Come by, see a cookie, oh, I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. Wasn't really thinking about what was in those packages that I was opening. You wouldn't treat a Ferrari like that. Never happened. But that's what we're doing to our body. we're really treating it like crap, to be completely honest with you. We're not respecting it. We're not treating it like this amazing machine. You know, I have a beautiful car. I have a 911, 918 limited edition Spider, and I treat it very, very well. I mean, I'm really careful with this car. But I was treating my body like a pizza truck. And then I realized the most profound thing of all on my journey. The customer. Who is the most important customer in the world? It's your body. The gift of life that has been given to every one of us. You are responsible for taking care of and nourishing and cherishing and developing this amazing gift that has been given you. And I go, wow, I completely missed it. I just took it for granted. Oh, well, we can shove some bad fuel in there. The greatest customer of all is your body. If you don't have your body, if you don't have life, you don't have the customers that we're all thinking is so important, our internal customers, external customers. You can't experience anything if you don't have life. This is the most important customer of all. And not only that, it's an engineering wonder. It makes a Ferrari look like a piece of junk. And you and I have been given this gift. And the question is, do we really respect this amazing gift that has been given us? Are we treating this wonderment like a Ferrari or like a Pinto? These days are over. I'm not walking in front of the mirror anymore saying, wow, I wish someday I would get rid of this roll. I wish someday I wouldn't have these. I wish someday. But this is what most people are doing. They're taking a transportation vehicle through life and they're weighting it down with excess fat and crap. And this is basically essentially the way we're treating our most precious gift. So the question is, what was I thinking to go from this to this? You know what? You know what the answer is? I was not thinking. I was not using my brain. And that is so much about what this talk is about. Are we really using our brains about the way we manage things? Now, one of my favorite people of all times is Edward Deming. And he talks about something called profound knowledge. And he says an appreciation for the system, the theory of knowledge, the psychology of change, the knowledge about variation. And I started looking at this and I said, wow, have I really appreciated the system? No, but I do now. Do I really have the knowledge about the physiology of what my body is all about and what it takes to manage it correctly? I do now. The psychology of change, do I understand the psychology of change? Absolutely, I do now. I've had a total mental transformation. I don't rely on discipline at all to do what I do. And the theory of knowledge of variation, oh, I know what caused all the variation in my life for 54 years. The variation's gone. Total stability. Profound knowledge. Deming says a bad system will beat a good person every time. And I had a bad system. I thought it was okay, but it really wasn't. Because it wasn't producing a great result. My health was not increasing in quality. It was decreasing in quality. I was trying to beat it back, but now it's actually increasing in quality as I get older, which is really remarkable. So now I have a good system. I wrote a book about it called Lean Health. And that book has been read by people all over the world, and we get videos and emails from people just saying how their life's been totally transformed. And this is a really cool one from Perry, and I wanted to show it to you.
Hello, everyone. I never get tired of seeing all the benefits of lean health, people's lives being transformed from my life to other friends around the world completely changing who they are by just eating correctly. It's not about exercise, it's about what you eat. And nobody's been a better example of that than Perry, who has been on his lean journey and has really transformed himself. And he recently just sent me a couple of videos about understanding really where he's come from by putting weights into a backpack to simulate how much weight he's actually lost. So here's Perry. It's an amazing story, and I think you'll really enjoy the visual.
Good morning. Here I am, Minnesota, feeling good. Trying to put my weight loss in perspective today. I lost 66 pounds since last August. I'm down to 212. Started out at 278. And I started thinking about these weights. This is a 20-pound weight, and it's heavy. And I was wondering what that would feel like carrying around again that extra 66 pounds that I used to have. So here's 20. I'll put that in here. Here's another 20, so we got 40. Oh man, that's getting heavy. 40, 48, 56, 61, 66. I don't even know if this bag can handle this weight. Oh my word. I was walking around with this. I don't know how. No wonder my back hurt all the time. Image. My wife wanted to try to figure out what that 66 pounds felt like. Can you lift it, sir?
Oh my word. I'd have to be down on my knees.
Anyway, a little perspective why it's good to lose weight. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, George.
And it's so inspiring to see people's lives change. People ask me, what's been my biggest mistake? Well, the problem is I don't know how to do math. That was my biggest mistake. I couldn't do basic math. So everything I eat to this day, I log in my FitnessPal. I don't ever, I'm the best distortion reality person in the world. I will think, oh, I ate this, but in reality, I ate this. So I don't trust myself at all. I've proved to myself for 54 years I'm a great liar. So everything I put in my FitnessPal, it takes me a second to log food. Just boom, boom, done. And I know exactly what I'm eating. So here's the proposition. Every day you make chairs and furniture. You have clearly defined processes that everyone follows. You don't say, well, today I'm going to do it this way, and tomorrow I'm going to do it this way. No. And you produce great quality products. Your company continues to grow, prosper, and create great jobs. There's no difference in managing your health. It is a process. And it is the most important process you can do in your life. And you should have a great process, because a lot of people say, I don't want to be bothered with logging my food. Are you kidding? Well, then don't be bothered following the process at work. Don't bother doing any of the other processes that are so important. Then airline pilots, when they take off, should not follow a checklist. And if you kill the people in the back, what? Oh, it doesn't matter. No. Managing your health should be a process. And it should be a thoughtful process, because we're thoughtful people. We were given a big brain for a reason, to use it. So my biggest problem was I didn't know how to do math. And so I would eat a handful of nuts, and I would log that, and I would say 1 + 1 = 2, or 200 calories. But the reality of it is 1 + 2, I was saying, equals 2, and it equals 3. It was really 300 calories. So I was lying to myself. So I got a process where I was logging the food, but then I complicated it even further because I wasn't being honest about what I was really eating. This was one of my biggest mistakes. And once I sorted that out, I removed all variation. I just kept consistently losing weight, consistently maintaining my weight. There was no like, whoa, it was all gone. But I had to learn how to do math, and very basic math. And I needed to quit lying to myself. And this is a big issue, because a lot of people start on the health journey and then they get stuck, and I go, Perry, I actually had the conversation with Perry, you're lying to yourself. You know, you're saying you're eating 300 calories and you're really eating 600 calories. Stop lying to yourself. This is a process. You run a huge construction company, huge, thousands of employees. You follow processes all day long to make sure safety is maintained, quality is maintained. You need to use your brain and be honest with what's going on here. And he goes, okay, Paul, I got it. He went immediately from 220 down. Today he's 209. His target, 199. Could you imagine going from 170 or whatever he was, 179 to 199? What a transformation. But you got to be honest with yourself. You can't lie to yourself. So it's very important that you have a good system. So people ask me how I eat. So this is a video I made just a little while ago to show you basically the way I think about food, because it's very important to me. And I love eating, but I eat only great food. I don't put anything in my body unless it's great. So here you go.
Hey, Paul Akers here. I'm going to go over basically how I lost weight and how I stay in excellent physical shape. It's so simple. It's 80% fruits and vegetables, 20% fish, chicken, nuts, some cheese for protein. That's basically what I eat. I don't open a lot of packages, and that's really the key. A lot of things I see happen with a lot of people is I see people go to the gym and they're working out really hard and they're sweating and they're still overweight. And I'm going, it's not the exercise, it's the food. The exercise certainly enhances your physical abilities, but it's a small part of the equation. It's the food. So what I've done here is laid out all my food right in front of me for the day, what I'm going to eat. And I do this all the time, and it's really helpful for me to visually see how interesting the food is that I'm eating, but number two, to make sure I don't overeat. So I lay everything out in 100-calorie increments. Now, these are rough numbers. A banana is about 110 calories. I'm just going to count it as 100, just to make everything easy. So watch what I've done here. I have 2 coffees in a day plus a large bottle of water. And the coffee, I like to put heavy whipping cream in. It's very natural, very good. So I put a couple tablespoons in each coffee. That's 100 calories. So that's 100 and 100. The blueberries are 100. The eggs, 2 eggs are 100. I put a little Parmesan cheese on top of the egg. That's 100. I use this Parmesan cheese in the salad down here. The grapefruits are 100. There's that. The banana's 100. The mango's 100. 3 figs are 100. 4 apricots are 100. 4 tomatoes are 100. The peppers and 1 red onion are 100. The avocado, approximately 100. These mushrooms, 100. The olives right here, 100. The sun-dried tomatoes, 100. The pepperoncinos and these capers, they don't even count. They're like 10 calories. All these vegetables, the lettuce, the cucumber, 2 carrots are 50. I'm counting this as 100. And a little bit of olive oil with some spice, a little balsamic vinegar in this dressing is 100. So now you see how I think. I just make it really simple. That's another thing. I want to keep everything so simple that I don't have to calculate everything. And then I actually put this in my FitnessPal in the morning before I leave. So I'm eating out of this, out of my lunchbox, if you will, at work or whatever I'm doing. And I'll make a salad out of this. So this will all be a salad, and I'll be eating the salad all day long, 2 or 3 servings of that. So I basically take this to work, and I'm good to go. Wherever I am, I do this. I actually do this when I travel a lot, too. Not in hotels, it's not easy. But I've been using Airbnb lately. I have a kitchen so I can prepare my food a little better, and that works out really well. So let's walk through it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 2,000 calories right here. I try to eat about 2,500 calories a day. Then when I come home at night, I'll have a piece of fish, or when I go out to a restaurant, a piece of fish, a couple different vegetables, and a piece of fruit for dessert. And there you go. 500 calories, 2,600 calories. That's how I stay looking like this. It's that simple. I have a glass of wine occasionally, red wine. I don't do it all the time, but occasionally I'll do that. That's approximately 120 calories. Just count it as 100. And there you go. It's that simple. When you keep it simple, you can manage it very easily. And look how well I'm eating. I'm not starving myself at all. I'm eating a lot of food. It's very delicious, and there's a great variety. So when I go to the store, I go to the produce department, and I'm buying all different kinds of varieties of fruits and vegetables, trying everything all the time. I don't eat the same thing all the time. The other nice thing is I stay away from the center of the grocery store. That's where all the bad stuff is. So I really don't go there at all. Go over to the fish department, go over to the vegetable fruit department. You're going to have a great life and great health. Thanks a lot.
So it's really quite simple, and it's not a complicated system. And the net result was aging in reverse. I went from I look much younger now than I did when I started, which is the craziest thing in the world that could possibly happen. Then the next thing that happened was being the power of remarkable. So as I would travel around and work with companies around the world, some of these pictures are in Japan and Kazakhstan, people would look at me and go, man, how are you 57 years old and you look like that? That's just like, I don't know 57-year-olds that look like you. And it was really getting more and more profound. So I, in the president of the BI Group, the largest construction company in Kazakhstan, a $3 billion company, he noticed my transformation because I actually started going there about 3 years ago when this whole thing started. And he goes, Paul, what are you doing? And I said, well, you know, I started eating differently, and I actually wrote a book about it. Aiden took my book, translated into Russian, printed 10,000 copies. He has 7,000 employees and 40,000 general contractors, and he's just, everybody's reading the book, and they're getting in really great health. So Aiden was number 9 at Dakar in the world, a very athletic, very outgoing guy, but he was a little overweight. He wasn't in perfect shape. He lost weight and became a total stud. People, everywhere I go, it's always fruits and vegetables everywhere. It's really kind of cool. They're all starting to see what I'm doing, and they're digging it. And this is an executive meeting with the top leadership of this $3 billion company, and there I am right there in the back. And just before that, the day before, we went to a sauna, and I had my shirt off, and the guys saw me. They go, what the heck? How in the world do you look like that? And I said, well, you know, I don't eat bad food at all. And the whole conversation for this dinner with this top executive team that runs this big company, you know what they want to talk about? They want to talk about my health. They want to talk about the fact, how was it that I was able to travel around the world, have this busy schedule, do everything, and make no excuses and still stay in this level of fitness? They couldn't believe it. That's the power of being remarkable. I mean, I'm not talking about being in good health. I'm talking about being in remarkable health. So the next thing you know, Aiden picks it up. This is Aiden right here. He's the president of the company. And he says, Paul, in the back of his car, he goes, Paul, Ironman. And I just started shaking. I said, what? Ironman? No, Ironman. And he goes, yeah, Ironman. You can do Ironman. And I go, oh my gosh. I didn't even really know what an Ironman was. I knew it was just a ridiculous thing, but I didn't know it was involved. I didn't know it was 2.54 miles open ocean swim. I didn't know it was 112 miles on a bike and then followed up by a marathon without stopping. That's like insane. But I didn't want to do it. But I couldn't say no to him. There's no way I could say no to this man, right? So the next morning, I got up and I started training. And Aiden now has done 4 or 5 Ironman. He just qualified for the World Championship in Kona, the first Kazakh person to ever make it to Kona. He did it. Look at the transformation he's gone through and his whole company has gone through. He has hundreds of his employees show up every morning to run with him. Hundreds. Could you imagine? He's transforming the country. They're bringing the first half Ironman to Kazakhstan now, next year. It's incredible, the transformation. This is the power of being remarkable. So it turns out you can be transformed. You can teach an old dog new tricks, and it was time to be transformed. And I was transformed. I got up the next morning. This is 18 months I've been on my lean health journey. And then I got up next morning, and I started swimming in the pool. I could barely swim 1 lap in the pool. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But I took 1 step at a time. Just like I talk about in 2-second lean, just make the tiniest improvement and then link them together. And I started swimming. Next thing you know, I got a coach. Next thing you know, I was running, swimming. Everywhere I went, I was running around the world. I was always training for this Ironman. 18 months later, I showed up at Lake Placid to do my first Ironman. I was afraid to death. 18 months of training. And I finished. I could not believe it. It was one of the most incredible accomplishments of my life. You think climbing Kilimanjaro was tough? You try doing this. That wasn't enough. 4 weeks later, I went to Vichy, France, and I finished again an hour faster than I did in Lake Placid. They usually wait 6 months between. The power of being remarkable. So what is this talk all about? This talk is about having a lean life. You know, I know that you're lean manufacturers, and we do great with lean at work, and I do great with lean at my company, but it's not enough to be lean just in your processes at work. You got to think about the way we manage our health, our most precious gift in the world. And here is a powerful concept to grab a hold of. The mind is a terrible master, but it is a wonderful slave. And the problem is our minds have mastery over us. It has total control over us instead of us taking control of it. We have fed ourselves so many lies up here, it is unbelievable. Oh, but I can't go through life without that chocolate cake. Oh, that stuff's so good. I gotta have it. There's no way. When we go for Thanksgiving, man, I gotta eat a little bit of everything. That's all garbage that you've programmed up there. And if you want to keep programming that stuff, you go ahead. But I can guarantee you're never going to know remarkable health. And you're never going to know the joy of taking care of your most precious gift at the highest level. So at the end of the day, the magical alchemy in life is what I have concluded is this. When you master these three things, because I travel around the world, I work with executives and high-level people, and I've made an observation. Most people with ambition can be successful in their work. If you have a little bit of ambition, you'll carve out a nice career, maybe build a nice company, whatever it is. But there are very few people in the world that also have remarkable health. There are very few people that have a great company, a great career, and have great health. Very few. And there are even less that have a great life, that their entire life, their relationships, and everything they do is fantastic. And I'm suggesting lean, the concept of continuous improvement, the concept of realizing that everything we do is a process, and thoughtful people take those processes and continually refine them to produce excellence in all areas of their life. Thank you very much.